Hello everybody, so today we're going to talk about why Paladin supports are in the worst state they've ever been in. So right away, let's talk about 3 things that every player has to focus on. Positioning, game sense, and mechanics. Positioning is where you position yourself on the map, game sense is your awareness and ability to predict what will happen, and mechanics is your ability to hit shots. Every player in every role does these 3 things. Something unique to supports is heal priority, deciding who you want to heal, when you want to heal them, and with what healing ability. Technically this falls under game sense and mechanics, but I think it's different enough to be worth talking about. So there's 4 things, and for heal bots, which is a type of support that only does damage and healing and is incentivized to just focus on healing, those 4 things are all that they have to think about. You could argue that they have their ult, but honestly, very few heal bot ults are unique enough to not just be heal priority, but more. There are 12 supports in this game, and 9 of them are heal bots. Ying, Genos, Pip, Io, Saris, Grok, Lilith, Corv, and Ray. Now besides healing, they do have some unique points to them. Ying has a good defensive ult that isn't CC, Genos has a lift, Pip has a very strong ult but is more map dependent, Io doesn't really have anything unique to her. Saris has a cool ult and does AoE damage. Grok also has a cool ult. Lilith has 4k HP. Corv has his marks. Ray's heal priority is slightly different because of her ult charge thing. But other than a few tiny things, these supports all play exactly the same. Your positioning is almost identical. Game sense is also how you use cooldowns, but you do the same thing with those cooldowns, like Pip shots and potion versus Io heals and Luna. For mechanics, it's a bit of a joke anyways with the game's hitboxes, but 7 out of 9 of these supports have auto-aim heals. So how did this happen? Because it wasn't always like this. Ying was always a heal bot, which isn't a great example to start with, but that is okay. Like, heal bots are not inherently bad, that's not the point. It's just that 75% of the game's supports are heal bots now. And Ying has a niche with her ult, and she's unique and fun to play, she is fine. Genos got 2 things taken away from him, his damage, which used to make him more of a cheeky, funky DPS sort of thing, and his damage amp, which although strong and a little boring, at least made him not really a heal bot. Pip got a power shift from Megapot to Combat Medic, and Megapot was a very unique style of support. It let Pip spend more time doing other things, and Combat Medic is nothing but healing. Io was basically reworked. She went from one of the highest skill cap supports in the game with Dog Cap, which was just flat out removed, and since she was giving absolutely nothing in return, and her DR talent was even nerfed, she only has her healing left. Saris, of all things, has actually gone the opposite way. She's been given a better ult and some strength in her base kit. She's got a reason to do things that are not just healing, so credit where credit is due, but having a good ult or a tiny bit of CC doesn't necessarily make you not a heal bot, but she is getting there. Grok is a great example of how having a good ult doesn't make you not a heal bot. As a support, he has nothing but healing and that good ult. Lilith has 4k HP, but currently does so much healing that you shouldn't and can't bother trying to do anything else. Trying to do anything else literally takes HP away from yourself and from your team, which is almost never worth it, especially because her damage is so low. Corv is a pocket, and that's not technically a heal bot, but from the Corvus' point of view, you are doing nothing but hitting heal and maybe moving marks around sometimes. You're such a strong pocket that trying to do anything else is throwing, which sucks because his kit is very cool to use offensively. Ray wants to heal different people because of the ult charge she gives, but at the end of the day, she's doing nothing but healing. And just as an aside, Evil Mojo has pulled off the insane feat of giving supports more overall healing numbers, but lowering the amount of impact and healing they do over the course of the game, which is honestly just insane to me. It turns out that burst thing was pretty important to a game with Cauterize and Rejuve. Getting back on track, for the supports that aren't heal bots, we have Damba, Grover, and Furia, and let's talk about why. Damba is very similar to a lot of heal bots, but the important difference is that Damba can do literally everything at the same time. You can do damage and healing without sacrificing the other. You also have some CC to choose from if you want, which is the best choice sometimes. He can also straight up outduel basically any DPS, and he can be very aggressive with his DR card. But the point is that having the option to be aggressive and use CC, and being able to do basically everything at once if you're good enough, means that you should try to do everything at once. And it also means that the skill cap for this character is sky high. Furia is the best example of what I mean by heal bots are incentivized to do only healing. Furia can be played like a heal bot, you can just sit back and heal, but you will lose. You have to be aggressive and you have to kill stuff, and that is awesome. Grover is a sort of mix. He gets so much value from being aggressive, and he can basically do everything at once. If you take a heal bot and you try to do everything with them, you literally cannot. The capability to do that is not in their kits. If you take a heal bot and try to be aggressive, you will be getting less value than if you just sat back and healed. So being aggressive is actively throwing the game because you're knowingly choosing the worst option. That doesn't mean there's not a skill cap. Obviously you can optimize your healing and damage, but it does mean that all heal bots play extremely similarly and aren't incentivized to do anything beyond heal. And they make up 75% of the current support lineup when they used to take up far less. And that means that most supports have been homogenized into one bland role. But it gets worse, because aside from the heal bot zombies taking over, supports themselves have started to take over another role, the role of DPS. DPS have had their damage nerfed over time and are now closer than ever to off supports in terms of damage and poke. When I say an off support, I mean a support that's being played as a DPS. This was usually what you gave up when you picked double support. You got more healing, a better ult, but your overall DPS and range suffered. This still happens, just to a lesser extent, and the benefits that you get are well worth giving up some damage and poke. This is mostly because of item store changes. Off support CC is better, they survive longer, their healing scales better, they are no longer the niche matchup dependent pick that they used to be. And obviously new balance changes don't help. Doubling Exterminate's damage is one of the single worst balance decisions I have ever seen. But all in all, double support is now considered to be the top composition. And if you've watched me before, you know I don't really like to call double support a composition, right? It's more of a thing that a composition has. You can have standard with double support, solo tank with double support, dive with double support. But we've been seeing double support in everything. Like double support has been getting played in dive, which is absolutely insane to me that we've gotten to this point. Double support and dive are traditionally as opposite comps as you can get. So double support being played like this does a few things. First, it sucks for DPS players. There are cool champs in this game that people would rather be playing over off supports. Plays like this.
Still sitting on a Dragon Punch, maybe waiting for this Illusory Rift, but again, not the luxury of time this round. Random noob, he's been so good. He's hitting every shot on a flying, moving target as well. Here it comes, true power, Dragon Punch, what'll it find?
They're trying to go for it. Space Station Gaming, they want the win. He's waiting at the door. There is the rocket! Are you kidding me?
Are a lot less exciting when they look like this. There's a whole montage of dumb exterminate moments if you want to watch that. But yeah, people want to play DPS, it's fun. Off supports are not nearly as fun to play with or against for basically anyone. It also sucks for supports. This is partly a lie because, like, obviously having broken characters in your role is great, winning is fun, but it also means that solo support, which is what most people enjoy about support, doesn't exist as much, because playing solo support into double support is, in general, a disadvantage. So it basically sucks for everyone, right? It's one of those metas where nothing dies. Double support is an easier comp to play in ranked. It's got an insanely high skill floor, so it's frustrating there. It's also a lot easier to get out-drafted. Not that getting out-drafted is inherently bad, it's just that double support is a very brain-dead and frustrating way of out-drafting in ranked. We picked two supports, and now our draft should beat yours in ranked. It's not healthy. This also all has the potential to go into GOATS territory, where DPS are just straight up not viable most games. Unironically, if more supports get headshot, I think that we would be in that spot on console and in crossplay tournaments. I don't think we're there yet on PC, but we're in the danger zone. So what do we do? Well, personally, I don't think there's anything we can do. I think that this has been going on for far too long, and now that we've realized, wait, this wasn't just a season or two of balance, this is the way that Paladins is headed. Fixing the issue of heal bots taking over supports and off supports taking over DPS would require a lot of changes. I don't think the devs are willing to make that jump, even if it might be better for the game in the long term. I think this will be viewed as an issue that purely affects just the top percentile of players, and I think it'll get almost no attention because of that. I think that this will be an issue that plagues Paladins until the game dies, which I hope I'm proven wrong. In terms of what a solution might theoretically look like, I think it's a lot of very simple changes. Ying is fine. Genos needs a niche from a talent or his base damage to be brought up. Pip needs Megapot buffed and to be played instead of Combat Medic. Io needs Luna to have a reason to exist, whether that be Dog Cap or not. Saris is actually going the right way. Grok is just barely starting to become a support anyways, so who knows for him. Lilith needs whatever is going on with her blood resource to be figured out. Korv needs a reason to let his selfish kits shine. Rey is an awful design, honestly, and I don't think that she can be saved without reworks, but again, having some heal bots is fine and even good for the game and general player base. I think Deep Roots and Exterminate need to be reworked. I think they'll either be unplayable and unfun, or viable, unfun, and unhealthy. You could do what they've done to Torvald, Makoa, and Atlas, the three old gods of the offlane, and just flat out kill them, then slowly bring them back over years to the point where they're maybe not bad in some situations, then actually buff them and make them good in the case of Makoa and Atlas. For the record, only Torvald was unhealthy, the other two were just way overtuned. You could do that with these talents, but I think it's just healthier and easier to just rework them. And when Evil Mojo is making future supports, don't make every support heal auto-aim. There's more utility than utility that works on the other team, and there's more utility that works on the other team than stuns. You could theoretically let supports headshot if you tune down aim assist. There's like 3 supports that can headshot, and one of them has a shotgun and a stun, and God knows how those work with headshots in this game. But like, whatever you do, right, just do not incentivize them to make them purely healing. I have personally just started playing like almost exclusively Damba, Grover, Furia, and Ying. I'll play Corv if it's a good game because that character is that broken, and sometimes I'll play Pipar Io, and like we'll see about Lilith and the new Saris. I would also recommend checking out the Overwatch 2 beta. Supports in Overwatch 2 feel very similar to old Io with Dogcap. You're the most impactful character in the game if you get full value, but it's difficult to do that in every aspect and you're very squishy. You're also incentivized to not be a heal bot, both because it literally gives you less value, like you get less ult charge from healing tanks, and because there's less healing to do, you have time to focus more on enabling DPS and doing things selfishly, and because you can do everything, you should. The supports are more varied in that game, and it also has an esports scene and decent servers. So yeah, heal bots are taking over supports are taking over DPS, and it's an awful time for the meta in the game. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.